Homemaking is horrible until you learn what I'm about to tell you today. And by the way, it has nothing to do with decluttering your home or adopting a new cleaning routine. Although, if you stay until the end of the video, I do have a few money and time saving breakfast hacks that are truly life changing. So, if you're tired of the chaos and frustration and just feeling like you're barely surviving, I'll show you how to find joy and purpose in your role as a homemaker, even though it might feel horrible at times. So, these are 5 mindset hacks that'll completely change the way you run your home. Hey guys, I'm Kiri with the Transformed Homemakers Society, and I empower homemakers to reclaim their joy in homemaking and transform their homes by overcoming overstimulation and overwhelm. I'd love for you to like this video and subscribe so that we can get to know each other more in the comments. A while back, I was so frustrated that I have so little free time. In this season of motherhood, I am just constantly needed. A baby needs nursed, a toddler needs a diaper change, another toddler wants picked up. And to be honest, I just wanted my husband to see how hard I was working and that I was working at all hours of the day and night. And so I was just praying to the Lord, saying, Lord, I just want him to acknowledge how hard this is for me. And immediately I felt the Lord say, I just want you to acknowledge how blessed you are. I was instantly convicted and I repented of my sinful, prideful thinking. It did take some work that day to renew my mind on the topic, but by the end of the day, I was quickly able to find the blessings in all my circumstances. So, homemaking is horrible until you learn to renew your mind and focus on your blessings. We need to make renewing our mind a daily practice. Soon, and it truly doesn't take long, you'll find that when you make this a habit, your mind will start to automatically start searching for the positives in all situations. Okay, but why is this so difficult to do on our hardest days? Like, how do we actually have the presence of mind to do this, to find these blessings? When we're having those extremely hard days and you just simply cannot find the blessing in any of it, and you don't know how to get out of your funk, you know what I'm talking about. Like everything just seems to be going wrong, and every second you're awake, you seem to spiral and it just gets worse and worse. You're dropping things, you're snapping, all the kids are out of control. You know what I mean. There's a super simple solution to this. Stop focusing on yourself. My hunch is that when we have these days as homemakers, it's because we're too focused on ourselves. What we want out of the day, what we want to get done, or how we want to feel. Think about it. When was the last time you had a hard day like this? Maybe it's today. What's actually going on that's so horrible? I know for me, it usually goes something like this. I have a to-do list a mile long and there's not enough day to get it all done. I feel gross for some reason. Maybe I need a shower, or I had too many sweets over the weekend, so I feel like a blob. I have a comment on my YouTube that maybe rubbed me the wrong way. You know, the list goes on. Before you know it, I'm snapping at my kids, I'm rushing around barking orders, and I'm just not who I want to be as a homemaker. Can you relate to this? So homemaking is horrible until you learn to stop thinking about yourself and to be others focused. So my solution is to send a text to someone to brighten their day, bake cookies for a neighbor, write a letter to a loved one. Just focus on someone other than yourself, and it'll be surprising how it'll pull you just right out of the funk. Trust me. So try it, like today. Send someone a text with the intent of making them smile, and then let me know in the comments if this worked for you. I know you're probably like, okay, Kiri, but I literally just cannot even lately. Everything might just feel awful for you. Maybe you genuinely ache. You feel ill all the time. You're hypersensitive. Every little touch makes your skin crawl, and your children's joyful shouts sound like nails on a chalkboard. I know how difficult this is. I've been there. I have been this homemaker. I talk a lot on my channel about calming your nervous system. The reason I do this is because it's seriously a big issue in motherhood. Did you know that mothers are significantly more likely to experience nervous system dysfunction due to chronic stress, hormonal changes, emotional labor, and the mental load of caregiving? Parenting often keeps the nervous system in a heightened fight or flight state. And with the added risk of postpartum, hormonal shifts, and lack of recovery time, it's so much worse. Homemaking is horrible until you learn to regulate your nervous system. So whenever I talk about overstimulation on my channel, I get lots of comments like, oh, I wear earplugs and it helps me with overstimulation. Or once I cut out coffee, I stopped feeling anxious. Listen, I used to do this all the time, all these little tricks when my nervous system was stuck in a chronic state of stress. Once I addressed my nervous system dysfunction, all those little tips I used to rely on to keep my peace became unnecessary. It was like my nervous system was constantly running at a level 10, and even small triggers like noise would push it over the edge to level 11. But with techniques in place to calm my nervous system, I'm no longer starting at such a high baseline. Now those little stressors just don't feel nearly as overwhelming. My threshold for daily stressors like noise and touch is so much higher. So this is exactly what I teach in my course, the entire method that took me from overwhelmed and overstimulated to a genuinely joyful homemaker. My program uses a Christian brain rewiring formula to calm your nervous system and retrain your brain, all while weaving naturally into your homemaking schedule and without spending thousands of dollars on supplements or the next new protocol promising relief. So if you want more details, join me in my free homemaking workshop below. Motherhood is undeniably the hardest job in the world. It tugs at every part of you and it exposes every weakness, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. So it's not shocking to me that so many moms are struggling with mom rage, exhaustion, overstimulation, and overwhelm. But do you know who else it's not surprising to? God. He's not surprised by your sin or your struggles. You think you've messed up so much that you just can't come back from it, but you absolutely can with the Lord's help. And then once you start healing your own wounds, you'll notice less and less episodes of rage or snapping or anxiety and overwhelm. But it won't feel like this. It'll feel like you're still the same old person. But that's because you're going to be more sensitive to even the slightest bit of impatience in your demeanor, and you'll be convicted of even that. My encouragement is if you're here and you clearly care, you're being sanctified by your role as a mother and a homemaker. And God always wins. He will do the job he has set out to do. Philippians 1:6 says, and I'm sure of this, that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion at the day of Christ Jesus. Homemaking is horrible until you learn that the Lord is using this role to sanctify you and make you more like Jesus. Once you lean into this and get out of the way and let the Holy Spirit do a work in you, you will feel true freedom and peace. Homemaking is horrible until you have a larger vision for your family and your home. So with that, I'll leave you with this thought to ponder and to leave in the comments below. In my private Facebook group, which by the way, you're all welcome to join, the link's in the description, I asked, what's one word you'd love to have your children describe you as when they grow up? And there were tons of great words. Some moms said joyful, some said present, effective. Let's encourage and inspire each other in the comments. What would your word be if your children could use one word to describe you when they grow up? What would you want that one word to be? At the beginning of the week, I like to prep my scrambled eggs in advance. And the way that I do this is I will just crack like 30 eggs into a blender and I'll blend them up. And then I'll put them in a huge mason jar. And for some reason, it just feels like it takes so much less time to make scrambled eggs. I know scrambled eggs take like no time to begin with, but even just like not having to crack the eggs and then whisk them up is a huge help in the morning. And then I also wanted to tell you, I have created the most foolproof method for making scrambled eggs in a cast iron skillet. So if you like to use cast iron skillet, listen up, because these scrambled eggs, you'll see in the video, they do not stick to this skillet. So what I do is I heat the skillet up for probably at least a solid minute, like a solid 60 seconds. To be honest, I don't know how many eggs I put in the skillet because I just prep them in advance, but I probably put like 6 eggs total in the skillet at one time, and I'll do at least 2 tablespoons of butter. So I do the butter and I let that pretty much almost brown. It's almost like browned butter, right? And so the skillet is really hot. I have a gas stove. It's at a 7, and that's like the perfect temperature. So it's like, it's kind of high, right? Like you think that you're going to get brown eggs, but you won't. If you use this method, you won't. Brown eggs should be illegal, okay? You won't get brown eggs. So it's at like a 7, and the butter's browned. It's like kind of bubbling and sizzling. And then I pour the eggs in. Okay, here's the trick to getting them to not stick. You're going to leave them there until you'll see like a ring of the eggs starting to solidify around the cast iron skillet. So that is when then I'll take the spatula, and you'll see it in the video, but I'll take the spatula, and then that's when I will just kind of move the solidified eggs to the center, and I'll just go all around the cast iron skillet, and I'll just kind of like push the eggs into the center. And then I'll keep doing that, and then I'll move the skillet around until all the liquid part of the egg gets cooked up. And then once pretty much all the liquid is gone, there's probably even sometimes a little bit of liquid left in the skillet. That's when I turn the burner off. Then there you go. I just let them like kind of sit on the skillet, because cast iron retains its heat really well. So I'll just kind of let them sit on the skillet until they're fully cooked, and boom, perfect cast iron skillet eggs, scrambled eggs. They're so good. And you can see my skillet, there's literally no eggs stuck to it. It's amazing. So the most foolproof method, highly recommend. Okay, and my last little breakfast tip is for French toast casserole. So what I do is I take all of our bread scraps throughout the week, and I put them in a freezer bag, like a Ziploc freezer bag. And on the bag, I write French toast casserole. And all of my bread scraps it's probably like once a month that I'll make this. So all the bread scraps from the whole month go in this French toast casserole bag. And when the bag fills up, that's when I make a French toast casserole. And so what's cool about this is that I will literally have like sourdough bread in there, sandwich bread, burger buns, naan, all kinds of bread, English muffins. It's super lax. Obviously, I wouldn't put anything in there that's like savory, like, garlic bread or rosemary or anything like that. But like buttered bread, hamburger buns, as long as they're not like, the onion buns or something. Usually we just do like brioche. Everything, all the scraps, they go in the freezer bag. And then when the freezer bag is full, it's French toast casserole time. It's amazing. So anyway, those are my breakfast tips. If you'd like to learn a few of my favorite homemaking hacks to embrace the chaos and enjoy your role more as a homemaker, click this next video. Thank you so much for watching. It was such a joy to have you here.